In Europe, we do have all the ingredients to grow tech champions. We have excellent research. We have a very good industrial base. We have innovative ideas, but we lack capital to be at the right place at the right time where the companies need to grow. Where they need to grow, where they need to go to the next stage in their development, where they need, for instance, to build a first plant to demonstrate a product that they are developing. So we need to be there, and we see that Europe still faces a structural funding gap, in particular in the late stage and the growth capital stages of the development of the companies. It's not just an economic priority for us to bridge this gap, it's also a strategic necessity for Europe's competitiveness and for Europe's autonomy. And over the past years, we have worked very hard to strengthen Europe's venture and growth capital ecosystems, but mainly in the early stages of the company's development. We're supporting fund managers and we're supporting investors that back high potential companies across the continent. But it's not enough. We need to take our responsibility as the European Investment Fund and do the same for the later stage and the growth space. So this is precisely why we have created a new program called the European Tech Champions Initiative. We launched it almost 3 years ago to catalyze larger funds, mobilize private investors also into these funds, and to strengthen Europe's capacity to finance scale-ups at the right level. Over those 2 years that has gone by, we have invested that into 15 what we call mega funds. So these are funds that can reach a first closing or a closing of 1 billion euro. And these mega funds were not really there before in Europe. We had maybe a handful before. Now there's 15 mega funds supported by the ETCI. And those funds are now investing. They're invested already into 45 companies. And 11 of those companies are unicorns. So we see that it's working, and now we need to expand. We're getting more member states into a second phase of the European Tech Champions Initiative. We will announce this very soon. And we are also expanding in terms of the size of the funds we want to support. And we still believe this is not enough, because to truly power the European Tech Champions, we do need to unlock the full potential also of private capital. And in particular, here we see a growing role of institutional investors, but also of corporate investors and corporate venture capital, such as yourselves. What will define our success is the partnerships that we will enter into, the new partnerships with new types of investors. And I think that you as corporate VCs and institutional investors as well, like the pension funds and the insurance companies, the tendency is that you are no longer just participants in the ecosystem. You are becoming more and more system shapers, and you bring more than capital. You bring industrial expertise, you bring market access, and you bring the ability to scale innovation across the value chains, and really in a value chain mindset. And this requires moving from opportunistic investments to strategic long-term engagement, helping build ecosystems and not just portfolios. So we need bold investment, we need sufficient scale of capital, we need smart regulation also to ensure that Europe remains an attractive place to build companies, reducing the barriers, enabling risk-taking, and facilitating cross-border activity. But first and foremost, we need deep collaboration between the public and the private investors, between corporates and startups, and across member states. So a call to action, what we need now is alignment between the capital and innovation, between national and European initiatives, and between short-term incentives on the one hand and long-term impact on the other. If we succeed, the prize is significant. We can build a new generation of European tech champion companies that are not only globally competitive, but also deeply anchored in our European values and our strategic priorities. And at the EIF, we remain committed to playing our role as a catalyst, as a partner, and as a long-term investor in the future of tech globally. But the success will really depend on all of us. So let's move from recognizing Europe's potential. We've spoken a lot about that. And let's move to fully realizing it.